Hey guys, we're back. And today, we're taking a closer look at the iPhone SE 3. I've moved my SIM card from my iPhone 13 Pro into this one to see if I'd really miss my top-of-the-line iPhone. And as it turns out, with a little DIY project of getting MagSafe onto this case, there wasn't a whole lot that I missed. But let's talk about why Apple made this phone in 2022. Who is this for? Well, Tim Cook told us that already in the keynote.
For our existing users who want a smaller iPhone and a great value. It's also been an incredibly popular model with new iPhone users.
Keep older users happy with familiarity and bring on new users that are either going to get their first phone or anyone that's just intrigued by the well talked about ecosystem. I remember buying my first iPhone out of intrigue, the iPhone 7 Plus. I didn't plan on getting rid of my Nexus 6P, but I wanted to see what all the hype was about. So I added on the Apple Watch, followed later by the AirPods, eventually added an iPad, and here more recently, a Mac. That intrigue and that ecosystem, it got me, and I haven't been back to Android since. So let's talk about the design. The 720p screen, it's good, not the greatest. It's still got that chunky forehead and chin that houses the Touch ID. Touch ID is still really good. I prefer Face ID on my phone. Maybe during the pandemic when we all had masks on, that was a different case, but not now. The camera, it's a potato. But if you're using it to record video, then it's perfectly fine. It's actually really, really good. So if you're using this for FaceTime calls or for vlogging or shooting a YouTube video, you're going to be more than happy. But on an everyday uses, that's when the ecosystem took over. So for me, when I'm at the gym, I use my Apple Watch to record my workouts, listening to music. I have my AirPod Pros. Shopping, I still had Apple Pay. iMessage, getting those blue bubbles. And then all the other great apps that come on iOS. This SE, it got me by, but not with much battery to spare. So back to the keynote. Tim said that Apple added more users since the iPhone 13 launch than it has with the last 5 launches. But that has everything to do with how good the 13 lineup is, and nothing to do with this SE. In fact, the 13 specifically, the 13 mini, is so good that even with the cheaper price tag, I think anyone considering this SE should be picking up the mini instead. It is better in every way. The screen, the cameras, the battery life, higher storage, and the design. Apple might be moving away from the mini after this year, but it is still a powerhouse of a phone, and the small phone that everybody should get. But for most of us, it comes down to the cost. The iPhone SE starts at $429 with 64 gigabytes of storage. The 13, $699, but for 128 gigs. But that's when you're buying these phones outright. I know it's not like this all around the world, but here in the US, the major phone carriers are giving substantial deals when you trade in a device. This mini I got from AT&T, who at the time was giving promotional credits up to $800. I went out, bought a phone online for $150, got my $800 credit, bumped up the storage of the mini to 256 gigs, and I pay nothing for the device cost. With AT&T, currently, as of the time of this recording, they're not giving any promotional discounts on the SE. So currently, for the 64 gigs, it's $11.95 monthly. For me, in my situation with that deal, the Mini is a no-brainer over the SE. But both phones they do have the new Apple A15 chip and will have iOS updates for the next 5+ years. So, as of right now, with the ecosystem that I dropped into this while I was testing it, it worked out just fine for me. I really had everything that I needed, even with this aged design. Albeit, I wanted more battery life and I wanted better pictures. But if you're keeping this device for as long as it's being updated for, what's this SE gonna look like in 2025 or even further out? Not great. But these are just my thoughts. I haven't hated the SE, but I am ready to go back to my 13 Pro. So I appreciate you guys checking this video out. Hit subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one. It's Buck Life. Peace.